Hello and welcome again to another episode of Verkava VetChat. My interviewees today are a couple having a clinic in Vienna in Austria. They are both renowned and sought after speakers and publishers of multiple articles on avian and exotics medicine. But beside of that, they're also keen scuba divers. They're very interested in conservation projects, and just generally, they are super interesting people. So welcome to Claudia and Manfred Hochleithner. Hello.
Hello. Thank you, Wolfgang, for the nice
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for joining me for this vet chat. So how is life in Vienna at the moment?
It's still quiet because we are still under a lockdown because of COVID. And yes, we will see how it will change. The 19th is the plan to open and the numbers look good, so hopefully.
Isn't it so that the shops already have started opening again, sort of in Austria?
Some. The grocery stores and apothecaries, they were open, but the fancy shops like jewelry, they were closed. But I think this week they opened.
It's, as we are a very big country, as you know, we have all the districts have different rules and regulations, so it's really since full.
But Vienna was locked down, and 100 meters to our border of our house is Lower Austria, and there the shops were open, but the Viennese were not allowed to go there, so a little bit tricky.
Yeah, I mean, the same is in Germany with the different federal states. Sort of, then you just go over the border, and there are villages where the federal sort of border runs right through. The one side of the road you can do this, but you can't do it on the other side of the road. And so, yes, well, so how has COVID affected your work in your clinic? You are running the Tierklinik Strebersdorf near Vienna. Can you give us an idea how big is this clinic? How many vets are working in this clinic, and or how big is your team?
We are all together 6 vets together with us, and also 6 technicians. And well, honestly, when COVID started, our work rose up because the people that were at home, they realized that the animals were sick. They had time to find everything earlier than normal, and we were very busy, and we are still very busy, luckily.
How do consultations these days sort of look like in Austria? Are people already allowed back into the clinic, or do you collect the animal on the car park, or how does that work?
This is individually done by the veterinarians in Austria. In our clinic, we decided with the second lockdown, so since November, that we just have a short discussion with the owners and then send the owners out, so that the time we are together with strange people is as short as possible, and then we take the animals over. We only make appointments anymore. This we started when COVID started. And we found out, honestly, that for most of the animals, it's much, much better, because the animals, as soon as the owner left, the animals are much quieter and much easier to handle. At the beginning, I wasn't sure that it will be like this, but it showed that it's much better. And we do it now since half a year, because we have half a year lockdown, and it's great, honestly.
Yeah.
And we don't know how to go on with this, because the technicians and we like it so much that we want to get rid of the owners in the room. But yeah, will be difficult afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, I have to say, I mean, some of the clients were actually very, very good, letting us getting on with it. Others, yes, they were more sort of protective, sort of, okay, what do you have to do? I just on Friday, I had a couple, they brought me a cat in, and then they said, okay, she's a little bit nervous. So I said, okay, that's fine. So I took the cat with me in the consult room, and I usually do the consultation with cats all on my own. So unless I have to check the temperature or something like that, but otherwise sort of, and so I just opened the basket, then did my writing. Sort of the cat was sitting there quite chilled, sort of. Yeah, you could sense that the cat was stressed, but nevertheless, so quite chilled. And I just got on with what I had to do. Then checked the cat a little bit, then went over, did something else, then checked the cat again, then did the procedure, gave a couple of injections to the cat, just carefully sort of put the cat, then after I weighed the cat back into the basket again, sort of, and then brought back to the owners and said, well, no problem. And say, what? What did you do? And so show us your hands. So no bleeding, no scratches or so. Yeah. They said they couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe that the cat had behaved so well, and understandably, obviously at home it was a big fight to get the cat in the basket. Yes, I mean, the cat is not stupid. The cat knows basket is the safest place. So in the surgery, obviously, they have a different take on it. But nevertheless, I also found it much more controllable if the client is usually not around. Then when I examine the cat, just take myself time for the cat, examine the cat, and if I really need someone, then I call a technician also. But yeah. But they were very surprised that how they've never seen or that their cat was so well behaved. Yeah. How has that affected your consultation times? Did you have to extend them because?
Well, in the beginning of the COVID lockdown, I measured the time, and our shortest investigation was 2 minutes, because we also, we didn't know about testing, us and our technicians, and the longest is normally 15 minutes, not the surgeries. I think the consultation time without the owners is much more effective because they don't disturb us. But we still take our time, and we make more procedures at the first consultation because money is an issue. So, and we all know a few things heal with one shot. So at this time, we started to making every additional examinations at the first consultations, which we would not have done without COVID. So this has changed a little bit, and we don't want to see the owners often rechecked because we don't want to have the people in.
Yeah. That makes sense. Sort of. Do you have you started also with teleconsultations or video consultations also?
We have a long discussion on this issue within the Austrian Veterinary Chamber, where I'm active as president of Vienna. And it's not most people were not in favor for this. I know that the future will bring it, even without COVID. This will be the future, and we have to change our opinion about this. But at the moment, it's not legal in Austria.
No, I just thought if they are already your clients, and if you, for example, have a post-op check or something like that, so then possibly that might have its place, especially if you want to reduce the personal interaction sort of with the clients or the physical interaction.
What some clients did, they just sent us some videos or pictures, and they asked, should we come? But these occasions were not very often.
But I'm sure I was in favor for this new kind of veterinary medicine of this, and I think we have to deal with it anyway. But we had a lot of discussion from the legal part. Our lawyers and the board of the veterinary chamber decided it's not legal in Austria. You can do it, and I'm sure some people are doing it already, some colleagues in Austria, but to advertise it on a legal base, to advertise for owners that they don't have to come, send you a video, or just make a video chat, it's not legal. I mean, who cares probably in such a situation? But the chamber does not recommend it to put it on there again.
Yeah, I found, I mean, last year, at the same time last year, we did here in the UK a lot of video consults. I had sort of half of my consultations were online consultations with clients, and we got a dispensation of the normal laws from the Royal Veterinary College that we could, for established clients or registered clients, also issue prescriptions, repeat prescriptions based on video consultations. But that was really to try to avoid sort of that people had to come to the clinic. Uptake by the owners was initially very, very good, but now revisiting some clinics, a lot of clinics have dropped it again. They found, yes, it was a phase. Some owners liked it, but in the grand scheme of things, it didn't maintain its place. I mean, I'm not saying that this is sort of generally so. It might very well be so that a small fraction of, I mean, what we all do, I mean, for many years, is now that we have a telephone conversation with a client and they give us a telephone call update, or we report on lab results by phone with a client. So I see it a little bit just as an extension possibly of that. What was very interesting though, or I found sort of quite interesting, was that over here in the UK at least, sort of for these video consultations, the practices were charging. And it established the understanding with the client that also video consultation or even a telephone consult is actually a service you provide, and you should not, or the owners should not, expect that something like this is for free. I mean, some of these telephone conversations can easily take 10 minutes if you talk about it, and you could do a full consultation in that time.
Yeah. I absolutely agree, yes.
Yeah, interesting. Exotics. Obviously, this is really a field where a lot of people sort of like to hear you do your presentations or read your articles. Sort of in your day-to-day practice, how big is the percentage of avian and exotic patients compared with dogs and cats?
In our clinic, it's about 50% each, small animals, and 50% so-called exotics. And within the exotics, when we started in 1992 in our clinic, birds were the major part, especially parrots and parakeets. And now with all the legal requirements and we see now less birds, more and more. There's less breeders in Austria. It's a different generation. The young generation, they are not so much interested in parrots and breeding these animals. Now we see more and more reptiles and interesting species of reptiles. And we see a lot of small mammals now, which they're not really exotic, but it's, I think now, small mammals are the main part, then reptiles, and now birds are the smallest group.
And it's also a seasonal thing, because the reptiles, they are in hibernation in wintertime. So in wintertime, the small mammals, they rise, and during summertime, the reptiles come out.
Yeah. Well, especially in spring, so all these post-hibernation problems, for example. But I always sort of, when I talk to people sort of about my profession and say that I'm a veterinary surgeon, one of the first questions you have is, what's the strangest animal you have treated? Or so, and they all think sort of, oh yes, yeah, we are. I mean, we are treating every day. We are treating crocodiles and sharks or something like that. Sort of. Although, I mean, in your case, that actually might be the case.
We see some crocodiles, yeah.
Yeah, crocodiles.
Sharks we never did, no?
No, unfortunately, no.
I always think, oh, now it gets interesting if a client comes in with an animal over the back in a sack, or or if there are these sort of big white containers and you think, okay, what what might be in them? Should we leg it yet now? So, and then you also have to, I also have to check sort of with my nurses. I had some nurses that had some limitations. I had one nurse, for example, she had a rabbit hair allergy.
Oh.
She then really, well, we also have appointment systems. So she then had to be some in the back of the clinic or so when I saw a rabbit. But then I had one nurse, she just had a fear of snakes. So it wouldn't be ideal for your clinics.
No.
This is one of the first questions when we look for new technicians and people apply for this position. This is one of the first things that we tell them, okay, you will have to touch reptiles, you will have to catch birds. So being afraid of this species, it's not a good idea. It's better you don't even think about this. And there's a lot of technicians who like animals and who like to do it. But if you start talking about reptiles, that's it. But then we have the other side. I mean, in our clinic, of our 6 technicians, they're all a little bit crazy, same like the veterinarians. It's a special kind of technicians.
Yeah, it's also a special kind of client, I think, who has reptiles. So they like to be a bit different. They want to have different animals around. They have also different ideas of fun. So I don't know, having a large python sort of slithering its way through the living room is no big deal for them, where other people would completely freak out.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
Yeah. So I mean, one thing is, I mean, I know that you two are traveling a lot and you love traveling. I mean, it's the same thing with me. I often thought about you, and when I thought about people that probably might have been affected by COVID the most, I mean, you guys were somewhere on the top of the list. I mean, just looking sort of where you over the last few years have lectured, and then in between when I follow your social media photos and things like that. So there's just so much scuba diving and traveling. I don't know, COVID was probably a hard nut for you guys, or?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
It was really the
Different,
the first time since we are married. It was the first time that we could not travel for so many months, even a year. And it's quite strange to be at home for such a long time without meeting people in other countries. And we had, I mean, as you know, all the conferences has been canceled. We usually make a combination from continuing education and holidays, because many of our conferences are in nice places or in places where we have not been before. Yes, it was a strange and difficult year in the past, and hopefully it will change in the near future.
But honestly, you know what we do every night? We are in different countries every night, because I said to Manfred, we have a big collection of pictures. And I said to Manfred, when we are old and we cannot travel anymore, then we are sitting in our living room where you are now with us, and we have a big TV screen and we watch the pictures we've been when we were young. And you know, we do that now.
So half an hour, the computer just shows us some pictures of our collections. It's now about 10
gigabytes.
No, 10 terabytes.
Terabyte, yeah.
10 terabytes of pictures. So it's really a lot of pictures, diving pictures and pictures. As you know, today we have a mobile phone and make pictures. So it's thousands of pictures. And it's really funny. Some parts we don't even know where it comes from, this picture. So yes, we travel in the evening for 30 minutes.
Around the globe.
Who came up with that idea? Was it you, Claudia, or was it you, Manfred? Or who had that idea? I'm just curious.
The idea of the old time was mine, but I think now it was.
I think last March when we came back from United States, because everything was closed, we just came in time before Austria was closed, one day before, and then we still had holiday left. And so we really were bored as well because we didn't know what to do. So I started to get all the pictures together. So I think, yes, this was my idea to do it now during this special time.
It's just the reason why I'm asking is, I mean, you are in my, I've met a lot of husband and wife veterinary surgeon teams that are running a clinic together. But you guys sort of, you have similar hobbies, you travel everywhere together, and you're always so positive. And I think, wow, how do they do that? I mean, my wife is not a veterinarian, and although she's also working in the medical field, so there are certain areas where we overlap and where we understand each other, but there are other areas where we are very different. And I always think, how do Claudia and Manfred do that? Sort of, what do you have to do as a couple, sort of, to well, I don't know, sort of to not kill each other?
During the day when we work in the clinic, we have a small place. Our clinic is not really big, but during the working time, it's often that for 5-6 hours, even if we're only 10 meters away, we don't even speak anything to, because it's just everybody has his own clients and there's no reason to talk to each other. So yes, we're working together, but this does not mean that we really stick together because we make our own clients. So during the working time, we could also be on different places. It doesn't make any changes.
Well, and we were lucky that we found each other because I hope so, because we both had long relationships before we met each other, and these broke apart. And yeah, we were lucky because we like to swim, we like to snorkel, we like to dive, we like to travel. We have similar. Well, I'm more the cats guy, a girl, and Manfred is more the dog boy. But we like the exotics, so I think we found each other. That's okay.
Good luck.
Touching on the scuba diving, how came that about? I mean, okay, Austria is not necessarily a place that is lends itself.
Hans Haas is one of the.
I was just about to say, sort of, with great exception of Hans Haas, obviously.
Honestly, in Austria, we don't do scuba diving because we don't like the cold water. We just started during the holidays, and again, I mean, it's nice. And today, I would love to do it as that time, just to travel to some Maldivian island and be there for 1 week and doing nothing. But when we were younger, I was more active, and this was not enough. So we decided, okay, when we go to nice places, we also want to see underwater. Snorkeling was nice, but we wanted to go deeper and just to get involved more with animals, maybe interactions. And so we made it a diving course. And from the first time going a little bit diving, we were really fascinating. And then it's starting to be.
Yeah, we wanted to learn more.
And we wanted to make a next course. So we made the advanced course, then we made rescue, and then we are now dive instructors and also teach diving to some students, to friends. We don't have a diving school. I don't want to make it a big school, but with one student, it's a lot of fun to teach diving as well. And it's a different world. And for us, it was also, I mean, you know it, if you are in the practice, you have to talk all the time and people talk to you all the time. And as soon as you are underwater and diving, it's quiet, there's nothing. And you have 1 hour where you can focus on the surrounding. And I think this was at the beginning one of the most important things. And then we started with making pictures and videos and documents, same as we do it in our clinic.
Very high quality pictures and videos, and yes, the documents. What did you make the documents for?
At the beginning, just for us and to show our parents and my grandmother. When we showed her some of the pictures, she said, "They are so beautiful. Why you don't do something with it?" And I said, "Okay, let's try." And we met the German publisher. and I showed him some pictures, and then he made a coffee table book out of our pictures. But pictures are nice. And at the beginning, I made pictures and Claudia made videos, and we had combinations for our friends, and we cut it presentations, which was very funny, combined it with music. But you can see with the pictures, it's nice, but most of these animals move. So the video is more, for us, more entertaining. So the next step was that we wanted to make some video presentations. And we were lucky that we found a place where there is a lot of animals which are not very often seen. And we spend a lot of time there in Indonesia. And so we produced a documentary for the Austrian television, which now is sold worldwide, The Sea of Creepy Monsters. It's a 45 minutes documentation, yes, about creatures, small animals and small exotic animals underwater.
But that shows sort of this is as veterinary surgeons, I had that. I mean, quite a few of my other interviewees, they were not only brilliant veterinary surgeons, but their attention to detail and also the professional approach they took often to their hobbies, and then it became not just a hobby, they just exceeded again in another skill. I mean, we had, for example, at the Christmas special, we had Markus Kili from Finland, and his interest is the Aurora Borealis, and he takes, I mean, high-end photos of the Aurora Borealis and was publishing in National Geographic. Because sort of he has such an attention for detail, and he takes it just a little bit further than a lot of other people probably would have taken it. I mean, in your case, with the interest in exotics, sort of also you can read these animals probably much better than other scuba divers, because you understand much more about their physiology and why they might behave this or that way, and why they, although they look threatening, are unlikely to attack you. Whereas if you behave in a different way, you should be a little bit more careful. I don't know.
Well, you know that we like to dive with sharks. We did not do that on our own. We got trained by a very good shark expert, by Erich Ritter, a Swiss guy who unfortunately died.
Hopefully not by a shark bite.
No, not by a shark, but by heart disease. Too young for, he was a little bit older than we are, and he taught us a lot by watching the sharks and their behavior, and how the situation, being together in the water with them. And that's what we really like, to being together with big animals. We've been with whale sharks, with different kind of whales, sperm whales, humpback whales in the water. So we really had the fortune to see also the very big stuff.
If you spend time, the nice thing is that we had in our clinic, our staff is really good, our colleagues, so that we can spend time somewhere else, which is important for this, not just jump in, stay 1 hour and go to the next place. If you have time and try to interact with the animals, then the animals start interacting with you. And these are the situations which are really top of our list. Like, I mean, with sharks, it's quite easy that they interact, because as soon as food or smell is involved, they come closer. But like with Claudia said, with the sperm whales, we had an experience with 20 minutes where the big sperm whale became interested into us, and she followed us. She swam about 1 or 2 meters with us, opened her mouth, and that's the biggest predator we have on Earth. But I mean, they're not interested in humans, but it's just the feeling that you interact and that this animal gets interested into you and interacts with you. This was one of our highlights, I think, we had so far.
Wow. I mean, talking, but it's not only underwater that you interact with large animals. Sort of, you've also interacted with mountain gorillas, So how did that come about?
So, this is some time ago. We have been in Rwanda as tourists, and a colleague told us, John Cooper, he's from Britain, and he's a fascinating guy, and he's all over the world teaching about pathology of different species. And he told us that there's a mountain gorilla veterinary clinic in Rwanda, just dealing with the mountain gorillas, the free-living mountain gorillas, just if they have a problem, that they just monitor them, because at that time there have been left 600 mountain gorillas worldwide. So they are really extincted at that time. And so because we know that we fly there and that in these countries medications are often a problem, we asked the people, the colleagues there, whether they need something, and they needed an ointment, for eye ointment, because they had a sick baby gorilla they had to treat. And it was for us the idea, okay, I mean, for us it was easy to bring something, an ointment, an eye ointment, and maybe one of the 600 gorillas would have died because there is no eye ointment. And so we told them that if they need support, we can send it by mail to them. It should be there in 1 week, and we tried it, and it's easy. From United States, at that time, it was not possible to post things because they had the, if you remember, after September 11, then they had the anthrax problems where people sent anthrax in the mail in the United States. So from Austria, it was easy, and we decided we support them. And for us, it was important that we don't only support in a country where children die because of eye problems. We have to support both the animals and the humans. And so our structure, Endangered, the non-profit organization, started. And we found a lot of friends in Austria and worldwide who supported us. And we had, our ideology was that whatever people donate has to go to the project, that we and everybody who helps us gets nothing. So there's not, okay, our travel has been paid and the rest goes to the project. For us, it was important that we pay for our travel, we pay for all our expenses. And if somebody wants to help us, they have to do the same. So we had a 100% donations policy that all goes to the project in Rwanda. Yeah. But on the other hand, you cannot give the mountain gorilla 100 euros you have got. You have to do something that the people who live there gets better, so that they support the mountain gorillas. The only people who can help the gorillas are the people in Rwanda or Uganda where the mountain gorillas are. So, and the funny thing is that 99.9% of the Rwandese people will never see a mountain gorilla because they are in a national park and the people are not allowed to go there. So for them, it's just animals who take their land. And so there's a kind of problem between mountain gorillas and people in Rwanda. And we try to teach them that if they are good to the mountain gorillas, we take care for them. And it seemed to work a little bit. And we supported the hospital, human hospital then, and we got from the church, we got 50 children, orphans, which we have no children our own, and from one day to another we had 50 children to take care of. So it was a very interesting and yes, very interesting time.
Yeah.
And yes, I mean, personally, as I said, you cannot support the mountain gorillas. You just can try that the living for the people on the border to the national park gets better, so that they leave the mountain gorillas alone, and that they start thinking, as long as we have these mountain gorillas, there will be tourists, there will be support, and if these mountain gorillas die, probably the interest of the world in Rwanda will be quite zero. So this message, I think, have to be brought over.
And what we also did, we taught our children about the mountain gorillas when they were in a certain age of 14. They were allowed to come with us to the mountain gorillas. And in school, they had then projects and taught their colleagues at school. They have a treasure there, they have the mountain gorillas, they have to protect them. So we gave this further on to the next generation. And the kids, they are now at university and have children on their own. So they are now ambassadors of us. So it's not only us, the white people, who bring it to them. So they also support now their own country. And it was so nice when we asked them, what do you want to be? They said, I want to be a travel agency. I want to be a vet like you. I want to be a ranger. So we pushed them in the right direction, and they followed it up also in their village. So I think we started a little stone's throw, and they go on.
And I think that is so important with all these conservation projects, that the local community also benefits from it. If there's no benefit for the local community, I mean, we all know trekking permits now in areas with mountain gorillas are very, very expensive. And I think that's not a bad thing. I think sort of it's not something you just do 3 times, 4 times a year to lay on a beach or something like that. This is a very, very, very special thing in your life. If you have the fortune sort of to be in the rainforest or in the cloud forest, sort of with these amazing animals. So I think it's a trip of a lifetime. There is no doubt about it. But the important thing is that also local people get employed because of that, and that the local communities see a benefit. Otherwise, we will lose it forever.
I think one of the nicest stories, we always had the same driver. We flew to Rwanda about 4 or 5 times a year to take care of everything. And we always had the same driver. And after 2 years, our driver was a very big soccer fan of Manchester United. And they always celebrated for football games. And at that time, they also win the cup. And he told us that they had a big celebration and everybody got drunk and lots of fun. And after 2 years, he told us Manchester won something again. And he told us, okay, because he's watched us dealing with the people and doing these things, he told his friends that instead making a big party and get drunk, they collect all this money and give it to another orphanage near the city of Rwanda. Because he said, if the white people, the foreigners, come to Rwanda and help the people, it should be also normal that the Rwandese people, instead of getting drunk, help the orphans. And we thought, I mean, this was one of the best ways we could transform our message to the local people.
Brilliant. Great. Thank you so much for this interview, Claudia and Manfred. If anybody would like to comment on this episode of Fikava Vet Chat, or if you have ideas for future episodes of Fikava Vet Chat, please email us on vetchat@fikava.org or leave us a message on one of our social media outlets. Once again, thank you very much for watching or for listening to our podcast, and I'm looking forward to seeing you soon again for another episode of Fikava Vet Chat.
Bye.